It is time for us to choose side in Star Wars. Will we be rebels and fight for the good cause, or will we join the Empire to crush the rebel scum? This is Star Wars, the deck building game. It's a game for 2 players, and it is a head-to-head game that will last about 30 minutes, where the players will play their cards that they have on their hand. Along the game, they will build up this deck to become even stronger. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to set up this cool little game, but also how to play it. So let's take a look at this. The first thing the players needs to do is of course to pick a side. Here we have the Empire and here we have the Rebels. Then each player needs to pick up their bases. There should be 5 bases. And if this is your first game, it is recommended that the Rebels start with Tatooine, their starting base, Sullust, Yavin 4, Mon Cala, and Hoth. And the Empire starts with Lothal, Corella, Coruscant, Death Star, and Endor. Then the players need to take the one that is their starting base, which is stated on the card, and put it face up. The rest of the cards are put face down. The order does not matter. The base cards that we do not use in this game are put back into the box. Now each player needs to take their starting deck. And you can see which cards belongs to your starting deck by looking at the bottom of the card. There should be 10 of these, placed face down in front of you. Next thing we need to do is to take the Galaxy deck. There should be 90 cards in this deck. Then we need to shuffle it real good and put it face down on the table. Then we take the top 6 cards and place them out next to the deck. And they should be oriented so the Empire have the Empire cards facing them and the Rebels have the Rebel cards facing them. So everyone can read their cards. The neutral cards are placed on the side because they do not belong to any fraction and can be used by both sides. Lastly, we have the outer rim pilots that is also placed on the side at the end of the road. Over here we have the balance of the force track that we place next to the playing area. Again, the Rebel side should be facing the Rebels and the Empire side should be facing the Empire. We need to take the little force tracker here and put them on the Rebel side of the force track. We also need to place out some damage counters, which are the purple ones, and some resource counters, which are the yellow ones. Now the players need to draw the top 5 cards from their deck, and we're ready to start the game. So this is Star Wars, the deck building game. Now, a deck building game is a game where you build up your deck, just as the name suggests. And the deck that you have to start with is, well, pretty weak. In this game, the starting decks will mostly provide resources. But the more resources you get will enable you to get more cards. And as you get more and better cards, you will be able to get more resources but also launch heavier and better attacks. But you need to pay attention to the cards that you already have in your hand, because the new cards that you get needs to work well with the ones that you already have. So that is a good thing to just keep in mind before you go all crazy and get new cards. In this game you have 3 types of different cards. You have units, you have bases, and you have capital ships. But what do they actually mean? Well, let's take a look at the different cards. So here we have a unit card. In this case, Princess Leia. At the top you can see the cost. This is the amount of resources that you would need to pay to get this card in your deck. Below the cost we have the attack value. This is the amount of damage the card deals. Here we have resources. This is the amount of resources this unit will generate. And we have the force, the amount of force that this unit will generate. we have the name of the unit, and down here we have some information about this unit. On the top we can see that this unit is an officer, and this title might become quite important because this can reference to other cards in your deck. Below we have the ability of the unit, meaning what the card will actually do when you play it. All the way down here in the left bottom corner we can see the target value. This is the total amount of attack required to defeat this card, while it is in the galaxy row. And lastly, if we turn this around, we can see that we have a reward at the bottom. This is the benefit that you would get for defeating this card from the galaxy row. Here we have a base, and again we have some information. At the top we can see that this is a base. At the top we can see the card type, indicating that this is indeed a base. Below we can see the name of the base, but we can also see that this one actually have a little star. This means that this card is a unique card and may be referenced to by other cards in the game. Out here on the side we can see the faction symbol, in this case the Empire. Here we have the ability of this base, and at the bottom we have the hit points of this base, meaning the amount of damage this one can take before it is destroyed. And lastly we have the capital ships. Again we have a little title here saying what this actually is. We have the name of the ship and the faction symbol. Up here we have the resource cost to buy this ship, and below it we have the attack value of this ship. But some other cards might have resources as well. Down here we have a text giving us a little bit of lore about the ship. And lastly we have the hit points that is needed to destroy this ship. So that was the different cards in this game, but we also have the force tracker, remember? Now what do that do? So in this game we have the mechanic of the force track. In the start of the game the force is on the rebel side. As you can see, each side have 3 spaces. These 3 spaces belong to either the Empire or on the other side the rebels. In the middle we have a neutral space. Every now and then you will see a text on the cards where it says while the force is with you or if the force is with you, and then some type of benefit. This means that if the force marker is on any of your squares while you play this card, you will be able to use that benefit. Some cards will also let you gain force. This means that whenever you play a card where it says that you gain 1 or more force, you move the force token the same amount of step towards your symbol. Whenever the force comes all the way down to your last square, you will gain 1 resource. And you can use this resource on that turn. So now we know what the different cards means, and we know what the force tracker actually do. Now it's time for us to actually start to look at a turn. At the start of a player's turn, the first thing we always do is to see if we still have a base left, because the enemy might destroy your base. Now, if we would not have a base, we would need to look at the rest of our base cards and pick a new base for this round. But now we still have our base left. The next thing we need to do is to look at the force tracker. If the force tracker is all the way down at your symbol, you would gain 1 resource from the supply itself and put it in your play area. Now, if you have any capital ships in your play area, which you of course do not have at the start of the game, but let's say that you do now, you would also receive the resources stated on that ship. So that was the start of a player's turn, to take a look at your base and see if you have any, and if you have any ships, if you get any resources, but also the force track itself. But now we move into the actual gameplay. And here you can do 6 different things. And you can do these in any order you would like to. And you can do them as many times as you can. The first thing I want to show you is how to play a card. When you know which card you want to play, you simply place it out in front of you in your play area. Then we immediately take the amount of resources stated on the card. And we also get the amount of force immediately, meaning that we move the force cube the amount of step towards our symbol. In this case, 2 steps. Once we have done that, we can now use the ability on the card itself and or commit this unit to do an attack. And you can commit attacks to either your opponent's base, and of course if they have any ship that protects their base, but you can also attack the cards out on the galaxy row. If you want to commit units to attack your opponent's base, you group these cards together, and you can even place them in front of their base to really show that you are attacking the base. If you want to attack anything out on the galaxy row, you need to place the cards that you want to attack with next to that card. And then we need to resolve the attacks as well. Now we have committed some units to do some damage on some ships, some bases, but also some troops out here on the galaxy row. But how do we actually resolve them? Well, let's start by taking a look at the attack on the base. Because to be able to do any attack on the base, you first need to destroy any ships. In this example here, the rebels are trying to beat the Empire's planet Lothal. But they first need to take care of the Imperial carrier, because this one is guarding the planet. Now we need to see how much attack value we have. We have 3 plus 5, giving us a total of 8. We need to take that amount of damage cubes. And first we need to place out on the capital ship. This one has a HP of 5, meaning that we can place 5 damage cubes on that ship and actually destroy that. So now we have managed to destroy their ship, but we still have the planet left. But we only have 3 damage cubes left, meaning that we won't be able to destroy this planet in this turn. But at least we have lowered their HP down to 5 from 8. But your opponent do have a chance to repair this planet on their turn. And they will do that by using, for example, this landing craft that will let them repair 4 damage to their base. But there are other cards as well, of course. When you manage to deal enough damage to your opponent's base to actually destroy it, you actually get to take that card and place it below your space on the force track. This is your victory pile. The cards that you used in this attack is placed to the side, as a reminder that you have already used them in an attack during this turn and can't be used for now. To resolve an attack out on the galaxy row against another unit is resolved in the same way. We simply take your attack value and place out that amount of damage cubes on our opponent. In this case, it is a clear victory. This card is then discarded, but on the bottom of the card that you have just defeated, there is a reward, and you can get this reward immediately, if you want to. In this case, the reward is to exile 1 card from your hand, or discard pile, meaning that you will take 1 card from your hand or discard pile and put it back into the box, in this way improving your deck. When you defeat a card from the galaxy row and you remove it, you instantly refill it with a new card from the top of the galaxy deck. And remember to put the card facing its own fraction, so it's easy to read. When you make an attack out on the galaxy road, you cannot commit capital ships. It is only units. And if you for some reason do not exceed the damage card on the card that you are facing, well, nothing happens. Besides attacking your opponent, you can also choose to buy a card from the galaxy row out on the market, if you have the resources needed, of course. And the Empire can only buy Empire cards or neutral cards. The Rebels can only buy Rebel cards or neutral cards, which just makes sense, right? To buy a card, you simply pay the amount of resources stated in the top left corner. Once you have paid the amount, you simply take the card, and then you place it on top of your discard pile. The next time you will shuffle this deck, it will become a part of your deck. And again, as soon as a card is removed, that space is refilled by a new card. In this case, a neutral card. When you have done everything that you can or want to do, you simply indicate this to the opponent. And then you need to discard some cards. First you need to discard the cards that you have played during this turn. You also need to discard the cards that you have on your hand. Plus you need to put back any resources that you have received. And now you need to draw 5 new cards. But if your deck is empty, well, we need to reshuffle our discard pile. Once we have done this, then we draw 5 new cards, and we're ready to keep on playing. The player that first managed to destroy 3 of their opponent's bases wins the game. And the game ends immediately, meaning that there will be no more cards played, there will be no more purchases. It ends immediately as you destroy your opponent's 3rd base. And then you become the glorious winner of this dark universe. The setup I did in this video was for the beginner mode, where we did not use all the base cards. When you have played this a few times, it is recommended that you go into the advanced mode or the full gameplay mode. This is where we use all the 10 bases instead of just the starting ones that we set up here. The game itself plays out in the same way, but we can also add on to the game by making it longer or shorten it down. We do this by determining how many victory cards we need. Here we had a victory conditions of 3 bases, but you could increase this to 4 or 5. But you could also decrease it to just 2 if you want a shorter game. There's also one game mode where you choose your bases in secret, meaning that your opponent do not know which bases you have below the one that is showing. If you like deck builders, if you like fast-paced games, if you like games that are easy to learn but hard to master, well, this one is for you. This is a quite fun, quite challenging deck builder, where you really have a chance to make a difference in your deck. And it's up to you to actually make the different cards work together. As I told you, there are different traits on the different units, and some of these traits will simply work better with other traits, and that is where your job really comes in, because you need to learn which of these traits that works together and will give you a great combination. This is a Fantasy Flight Games game, which means that the rulebook is really well made. Just like all of the rulebooks. I mean, there is a lot of pictures here, there's not that much text, and there's always a picture referring to what the text actually says. It's easy to read, and you can pretty much read this whole rulebook in 10 minutes. And the artwork is just beautiful. Really nicely done, really clear images, good colors. It looks great out on the table. It makes you feel just like you are in the Star Wars universe. I mean, just look at the box artwork here, the cards, the enemies, the ships. Oh, it's just absolutely brilliant and beautiful. There you have it, my friend. That was Star Wars The Deck Building Games, a 2-player head-to-head game where you are either the rebels or the Empire fighting it out, destroying each other's bases and trying to take out each other's units. This game is fun, it's fast, I like this a lot, and if you are a Star Wars nerd like I am, and if you like deck builders, well, I definitely think that you will like this game as well. And there will probably be more expansions to this, right? I mean, I don't know, but I'm guessing there will be something in the future. But that was the game, my friend. If you want to know more about it, there will be links down in the description, so please check that out if you want to. If you like my video, well, like it, subscribe to the channel, whatever you want to do. But most importantly, please keep on spreading that board gaming love I know you all have. Peace out, my friend.